Hello there from Oshkosh, the world's biggest aviation convention. This is my very first time here at Oshkosh, and it was so special because I flew here myself in my 1977 PA28 Arrow all the way from the United Kingdom, and in the coming weeks and months on this YouTube channel I'll be sharing that adventure and that journey, so be sure to subscribe and follow to make sure that you don't miss any moment of that trip. In this video I'll be sharing what it's like to be here as a Brit for the first time, to camp here, to soak up the atmosphere. But first, I know what you really want to see, and that is my arrival into Oshkosh. And I came in with 36 other aircraft as part of the Cherokee mass arrival. And in this clip that follows, I'll be showing you that joy, that pleasure of being cleared to land on that famous green dot by the very special people up in that tower. We're nearly there, guys. We are nearly there. 2 years in the planning this has been. 2 years of hard work, saving money to do this, getting my instrument rating, upgrading the plane, and it's finally paying off. This is fantastic. Woohoo! We're going to Oshkosh, my first ever Oshkosh, or should we call it Smoke-Kosh?
Cherokee flight, runway 27, clear to land.
We're clear to land.
Cherokee flight, Cherokee lead, we are clear to land, runway 27, aim for the green dot, roll out to the end.
So the next thing is when we're in downwind, we'll come in trail. Okay, we're going in trail. So Carl's come back now, I can slip back. I want to stay level or slightly above him so I don't get his wash.
Go ahead and go in trail.
Gears coming down. We have 3 greens. Juliet 2, gear down. I see the runway. This is happening, guys. Okay, green dot we're looking for, and we're coming down. 1, 2, 3, and now we turn. Keep him visual. We're going very slow here.
500.
Slightly further out than the one ahead of me. Gear down and locked. Reds, blues, 3 greens. We're coming into... This is Oshkosh! Whoa! We're landing on the green dot. Pivot to the left. Oh, it's almost a tear in my eye. This is so cool. I say almost, they're just a bit damp, that's all. We're here! We made it! Didn't think it was going to happen, but we made it. We're done, man! That was so much fun and such a thrill to arrive at Oshkosh, the busiest airport in the world on this day. And such a thrill to finally achieve my ambition of flying into EAA Airventure. And if you thought it was fun for me arriving here, imagine what it was like for the Red Arrows to come into Oshkosh. And a bit later in this program we'll be meeting one of the pilots and finding out how their journey to the US has been.
Right now we're building the propellers for the aircraft in Ohio.
There's truly so much to see here that it's pretty much impossible to get to it all. I've been here 4 days and I've barely scraped the surface. Guess you can just jump aboard. When I arrived, one of the first things I did was to seek out some show regulars to give me some survival tips. I started with Robbie Culver, who writes for the show newspaper. I've just got here, my jaw has dropped and I don't know how I'm going to make it through, quite frankly. I will need a new set of shoes, that is for sure. What is your advice to me?
My survival guide to Oshkosh is, like you said, you need new shoes, very comfortable ones. Lots of water, lots of breaks in the shade. But really my survival guide to Oshkosh is to just absorb it all, and you will find things that interest you in the least likely places.
Why do people keep coming to Oshkosh? What is the attraction of this this madness.
We come for the airplanes. That's what draws us to Oshkosh. We come back for the people. And we come back for the people because it is a big family. And I always like to tell people, it's not that you are meeting strangers, they're friends you haven't met yet.
And one friend of a sort who I haven't met in person yet and was keen to connect with was Steve Thorne, known for his YouTube channel Flight Chops. He flew into Wisconsin here from Canada in loose formation with 2 chipmunks and battled the poor visibility from the wildfire smoke just as I had done. He too had some advice for me and others who haven't been to Oshkosh before.
Okay, so the top tips to survive Oshkosh are sun protection, hydration, good shoes, have a plan, because at any given time there's probably 3 or 4 things that you want to do that are happening exactly the same time. So have a plan of what you think you want to see and look at the calendar of events and so on and really try to map it out, because you'll and then don't put things back to back to back, because things can be like miles apart, literally. So it can take 20 minutes, half hour to get from one end of the field to the other. So if you plan something at ultralights but then want to go to Warbird, you got to realize, like, that's not going to happen if you don't give yourself a half an hour to get there. And then you got to fit in, like, eating. I don't tend to eat a lot on the field because for a week it's pretty difficult to survive on fried cheese curds, which kind of is what it is here. So yeah, I pack healthy snacks. I camp on site, so we have, healthy food on site to keep energized. And pace yourself. That's kind of it. There's a lot here. It takes at least 3 days minimum to see everything. I would say even 4 is probably what you need. So this is the tri-motor going by. So what I was gonna say, like, the sounds of this place are so visceral. And I remember the first time I was here, somebody told me, you'll know you're done when a Mustang goes overhead and you don't look up. So like that was the tri-motor going by. I looked at it. This is only day 2. I'm still in that mode. I couldn't believe there would ever be a scenario where a Mustang would fly over and I wouldn't look up. But I found that happening on day 5. I was like, yeah, I'm done. Because it's exhausting, it's a lot, it's overload. So 4 days is about what you need, 5 is too many.
Steve actually spoke on one of the forum stages during the event alongside some other familiar faces from YouTube. It's one of the more popular sessions where you can get to see Aviation 101, Matt Guthmiller, Trent Palmer, Fly with Kay and your other online favourites. They even take time to meet people in person and pose for selfies. Now, I wasn't invited to the YouTuber presentation, I'm not really that well known over here, but I did advertise an informal meet and greet at the base of the famous Oshkosh Tower and caught up with a few followers who were loving the show just as much as I was.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
And you.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name's Matt.
Matt. And
Hi.
Yashi, nice to meet
good
you.
To see you.
Come over from England to welcome you to the States.
Oh, all this way just for me? No way.
Well, certainly part of it, absolutely.
It's my first time in Oshkosh.
And what are your impressions?
Oh, it's fantastic. Beats Riyadh and Farnborough hands down.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What's so good about it?
It's got everything going on at the same time.
Hi, I'm Dad. I'm Nick. Hello.
Where have you come from?
The UK. Yeah.
Whereabouts though?
London. Close enough to London. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not far.
And how's your Oshkosh been?
It's pretty good. Yeah. Massive.
First time?
First time. Yeah. First time.
What's your first impressions?
It's just the scale of it. I mean, like compared to what we get in the UK, it's just insane.
What do I like about Oshkosh? Everything. There's nothing. It's Disneyland for aviation. That's the best way of describing it.
If you've ever been to Disneyland, you'll know you can catch a tram to travel from the parking lots to the individual theme parks, and they use a similar system here. So this is how you get about without getting sore feet. There are these tram stops dotted about that kind of go north, south, east, west, I think. And you queue up here at the tram stop. And then a tram pulled by a tractor, there's one pulling up just now, will take you along maybe to the next stop. This is quite a busy stop, and as you can see the tram is already full up, so you sometimes have to wait 1 or 2 goes before you actually get on the tram. But it's a convenient way of getting around because there's a lot of ground to cover here. They also have a fleet of school buses running people around, and if you're lucky you can sometimes get a ride on a small buggy. So here's one of the great things about Oshkosh is that there's kind of an unwritten rule that everyone helps each other out, and I was just walking down the long walk to the show, and it's Graham here, is that right?
Yeah.
And Graham was here with his buggy, he's one of the volunteers, and he said, do you want to ride? And I said, hell yeah! How long have you been volunteering at Oshkosh?
Since 2018.
Wow, is that Australian or New Zealand accent?
Australian.
Do you live here now or in Australia?
No, I live in Australia.
And you come here every year for this?
Every year.
Oh wow. What's the, why do you do it?
I'm into aeroplanes, and I have a lot of friends here now.
Cancel previous ride. Now new ride.
Fantastic show. And there's always something new.
Of course, the main attraction of Oshkosh is the air show. It's great to pull up a camping chair next to the flight line in the sun, close to the runway, and watch a very diverse set of displays. There are shows daily from 2:30, and then on Wednesday and Saturday there's a spectacular evening show with fireworks and drones. One of the big display attractions this year was the Red Arrows, the British RAF aerobatic display team, who took an almost identical route across the Atlantic as I did, albeit a little higher and faster. So like I said earlier, if you thought my arrival into Oshkosh was interesting, how about doing it with the Red Arrows? And I'm with Red 7, Ollie Suckling, and I think you flew in yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, we did, yeah. So we came in from Chicago, where we're just on a fly past, so it was our first time coming into Oshkosh. Thankfully it was a little bit quieter than it usually gets. We weren't made to do the Fisk arrival or anything like that. So yeah, it was good.
What did you think as you come in? I mean, as my viewers will have seen in this video, I was kind of whooping as we were cleared to land on the green dot. You know, what was your landing like? How did you come in? What was the feeling like coming into Oshkosh?
It was pretty special, and as sort of a lifelong aviation enthusiast, coming here is a big deal for me. They always say there's nothing better than flying at an air show to ruin it, so maybe I'll be able to come back again one day when I'm not flying into it to get the full experience. But arriving over the top, we were all pretty excited. We could see all the airplanes down on the ground, and we did the American flag fly past as we came over, and then positioned for the run and a break with our arrival colours afterwards, so lots of red, white and blue for the crowd.
How are you finding flying in the US, and how are you doing that? I mean, for me, the radio is one of the hardest things, especially if VFR. I've tried to avoid VFR where possible for that reason. But I mean, how does it work for you?
The comm is different. Sometimes getting across that we're 11 aeroplanes in standard formation is a bit confusing for them. But in general, it's been pretty good, and air traffic's been excellent once they get what you're trying to do and where we're going. We have somebody who's allocated on each trip to be the nav, so they plan the sortie, they do all the liaison, and then they do all the radios. They'll have a deputy who they'll leave behind on different frequencies, and somebody else to go away and do the tower, which is good for coming in somewhere like this, because you can be dealing with approach while somebody else goes to the tower and goes, hey, 11 airplanes are about to pitch up at your airfield. Is it clear for us to come in and land? But it was pretty special landing here, actually. We weren't made to land on the dots, I got to land on the numbers, which is where I wanted to land.
I'm surprised at what you said about, calling up and you're trying to explain what you're doing and who you are. You kind of think your reputation would precede you, and that it would, in the UK we see your routes coming up, before you're even airborne, right?
Yeah.
And we know what time you're coming through. But genuinely, they're not expecting you on the frequency often, and you're having to explain who they are. And do they get excited when they hear who you are? Do they work out who you are?
So it's quite interesting. When we were going over to Detroit, to Willow Run, we were speaking to a controller in Toronto, and he goes, oh, my British colleague says hello. And actually they swapped desks so he could control us for the next bit. We had somebody else go, oh, I used to be a military controller at Lake and Heath, it's a real pleasure to speak to you. And when we were coming in to New York for the first time, we're having a bit of a conflict. They're a lot more casual on the radio here than we are in Europe. And so say, oh, hey, what are you doing over here? Yeah. And number 4, who was doing the nav, was like, well, actually, we're here to celebrate 250 years of your independence from us. which everybody found quite funny. But everybody's been so welcoming here, from air traffic to the public and everybody else.
I think genuinely there's a real excitement to have you here. And I suppose you weren't sure quite what to expect from the reception. People absolutely love the Red Arrows, and what is that what is that attraction, do you think, to the people who live here of the Red Arrows? You know, they have their own display teams that are pretty special. And what is it that what are you trying to do as a representative of the United Kingdom when you're here?
So we're trying to showcase the best of British, you know, and it's not just about the aeroplanes, it's about the people as well. We're trying to get people interested in STEM and all that stuff. So for us, it's more about than the flying, it's the whole team in general. I think they like us being here. First of all, we've got coloured smoke, which none of the display teams over here have. So to be able to actually do an American flag is pretty special. We actually have one over on the French, because the French can only do one colour per aeroplane. They can't have all three in one, so that's the only reason we can do it, because all of the aeroplanes have all the three colours in them. So it was actually Red 5, Dusty, who came up with the idea of doing an actual American flag. We've got to be a little bit careful, because you can get purple if you actually have the red and blue on at the same time. So usually you turn one colour on and then turn the other one off, but you have to do it the other way around for this, because otherwise you'll end up with a purple bit in there, which you still get a little bit, but it doesn't detract too much. And I think they just like seeing something different. You know, I guess it's a bit like people in the UK. You see a lot of posts on social media. I don't know what that's like, and you go, oh god, it's the Red Arrows again, here we are. But tell me what, if we disappeared in a couple of years' time, I think people would be pretty upset that we weren't there anymore. So it's been really nice for us to display to a fresh audience that have never seen the show before, have never seen what we can do. A lot of the display teams out here we all have precision in different ways, and our displays are all very different, whereas we want to keep everything in front of the show all the time because we're a small, agile aeroplane. The people like the Blue Angels, they also have a very agile aeroplane, but they're also going a lot quicker, and their show is about close formation, precision, speed, noise, all of that. We don't have necessarily all of those things flying a trainer, but what we do have is we do all of our formation manoeuvres in front of the crowd, all of our changes. So everything's on show all the time. There is no break in any of it. So I think they just like seeing something a little bit different. It's a bit like when the American teams come over to England.
I'll tell you what, it's something that's quite strange to see over here is, well, the patriotism is 110%.
Yeah.
The egos are 150%. So, well, I was watching some of the day displays down here, and once they've done their displays, they do a little victory run in the car down the flight line in a kind of open top car, waving and cheers and all of this kind of stuff. And do you know what I love about the British is this kind of understated,
exactly.
You know, and that it's. I think that has more value than all of this ego that you find on display. So I, for one, am glad you're here, and you know, it's great to meet up with you here. As you know, I flew in formation here in the Cherokee mass arrival, and you know, we did 2 weekends of training, and I hadn't done much formation before then, and absolutely love it. We need to cut the camera, and I need to get loads of tips from Ollie now on how to. Find out how they are taught, to do the formation flying and some of the techniques that you use. You're flying back on Sunday. I'm starting my journey back on Sunday. I mean, I wonder if I might just sort of pair up with you and come on tail or something. I don't know.
Can you do 0.7 Mach at 28,000 feet?
I don't know. It might be a little bit tricky. Maybe you could put your flaps out and your gear down, or so. I don't know. We'll find a way. Great to meet up with you here. Thanks for chatting. Yeah, and we'll see you soon.
No worries. See you again.
It was great to spend time with Ollie, and they've just started a signing session. And just to give you an indication, this is the queue to see them, and to give you an indication of how much they are valued and respected and appreciated here. The queue snakes all the way around. So that's pretty cool. For a Brit to see this much love for the Red Arrows, that's pretty cool, you know? I wish I had more time to sit in on some of the forums. There were presentations on welding, fabric covering. There was an author's corner and talks by air traffic controllers. One subject I did get to hear more about, though, was leaded avgas. What's going to replace it? When? And what will it mean for my aircraft? I've just stumbled across the Swift fuels tent here, and I'm hoping I remember these names right. It's Chris DaCosta, and he's sort of head of Swift Fuels in the US. We've got Thomas Albasat, who's course, looking after us in Europe as well. And what's happening? Are we, in Europe, we've got airfields that are closing to us at the moment with avgas burning aircraft. And what's happening? Are you coming into Europe? How much longer will we have to wait?
Well, we are already in the European market, so we have a couple of airfields in Europe already. We're well aware of the fact that avgas is a problem, especially in Belgium, like in Antwerp. They already closed down the operation of 100 low lead. Pretty much already grounded their own Coast Guard. So there's a real draw in Europe as well. So we have multiple airfields already, some in Germany. We have Austria, Belgium, as I mentioned. We're looking into Denmark right now, and obviously also into the UK market.
What directly affects the timetable is the FAA's approval of tranches of engines and airframes. We just got 1,200 engines and 1,600 airframes approved through the STC program, and we're going to be working on other tranches in the starting tomorrow, like the next thing. It's a huge push, and in the next weeks and months ahead, you're going to see a lot of airfields across country by country that are going to be eligible to start using the 100R fuel.
As an owner, of course, you want to be operating your aircraft safely, and it's a new fuel. Is it likely to be completely compatible with all the airframes that we're seeing flying? I fly a high compression engine, a turbo Arrow, and maybe that will be one of the later ones to be added to your list. I don't know. And will my aircraft have to be modified in any way with seals and I don't know, all the issues that we've seen where fuels might not be compatible because of some of its components?
The answer, will it work? The answer is yes. How it will work and what are any sorts of issues for the lower end of the fleet, up to the midpoint of the fleet and up to the midway up to the high performance fleet, I think there's going to be zero issues whatsoever. We've done extensive material compatibility testing, which affects the fuel system and aircraft materials. Our fuel is benign. It does nothing to harm the aircraft. We've done about 250 different types of material testing. This is paint, O-rings, bladders, sealants, composites, diaphragms, fabric, which is another sensitive one, and the fuel works in all the engines. The question is, are there any adjustments? For the most part, all these engines were designed originally by the OEM to have some flexibility in how the engines can be altered by the mechanic or altered by the pilot, mostly the mechanic, to get it to perform in different ways. And within the range of those alterations, we're sure it's going to work.
When the sun reaches its peak on these hot Wisconsin days, it's nice to get some shade inside one of the 4 hangars at Oshkosh, where all the vendors are showing off their products. So I'm in one of the hangars here, and there's all sorts available, from new avionics through to some really old bits of kit here. Second-hand instruments, parts, circuit breakers. The only thing is, I suspect if I bought anything here, the CAA wouldn't let me fit it, so as much as it would be nice to have a few extra spares for things, I'm not sure it's going to be a wise investment. Now, I didn't expect to find this guy here today, and quite appropriate since I've sort of ferried my Piper Arrow over here. It's Kerry McCauley, a very well-known ferry pilot. He's got, I think, 2 books out, is that right, Kerry? And I used to watch you on the telly like 15 years ago or something, doing the dangerous flights, which was amazing. Yeah, I mean, I've got to fly back to the UK in my Arrow, and I'm slightly daunted, having got it here and dodged most bullets, I'm slightly daunted about going back. Can you give me some of your best tips I'm a GA pilot, private pilot with instrument, for getting back safely?
Well, the number one tip that you want to keep in mind is don't be in a hurry. You need to pick the right day to make the crossing. If you don't have good weather at your destination, you've got an icing forecast, terrible winds. I mean, impatience is what kills probably most of the ferry pilots who run into trouble out there. You've been writing about your ferry flying, I think, and tell me about the 2 books that you have written now and what they cover. Well, the first book is Ferry Pilots, about my early days of ferry flying. I started in 1990 before GPS was invented, so I've got 8 crossings just like Lindbergh with nothing but a compass. And just every in-flight emergency you can imagine. It was a fantastic book, sold really well. But after, about 12 years of full-time ferry flying, I retired because I was probably going to get killed, and I have a wife and kids. But then the Discovery Channel called me up 10 years later and talked me into starting up again. So that's what the second book's about, my experiences on the show and all the things that happened to me again, because I'm either the luckiest or the unluckiest ferry pilot in the world, because I've had just about everything happen to me.
All the ferry pilots I've met, and I've spoken to a few in readiness for me coming across here, and I've flown with some, they all seem nuts. In their own individual way, they seem nuts. Do you have to be nuts to be a ferry pilot, do you think?
It's not a requirement, but it helps.
When the day is done, I jump on a bus and a tram back to the campground. I have a small tent that I bought with me in the back of my Piper from the UK, so it's small and basic. There are cafes at the camps, portaloos, a shower and toilet block, Wi-Fi, and they even have charging stations for your phones and tablets and so on. So surprisingly, everything is pretty well catered for. You don't even need an alarm clock in the morning. So it's Thursday morning. I've had a good sleep actually in the tent, but I've been woken up by the exodus. The moment it turns 6 o'clock, the airport opens and they're going off in one big stream every 30 seconds or so. One's just gone over the upwind end of the runway and there's another one coming out now. It's no time is wasted here. No runway space is wasted. Off they go. They've seen the night air show and they're off. I decided to stay one more night as I had a few extra things I wanted to see, and I was told to expect a 2-hour taxi in a long queue to the runway on Thursday morning, so I thought Friday would be a better bet. So that concludes my stop here at EAA Airventure. An ambition finally achieved, an amazing place to have come, something I've been thinking about doing for a long time, and I kept putting it off. I kept saying, oh, you know, it's something you've got to plan for. You've got to spend at least 3 or 4 months planning to get here and working it out, whether it be coming by commercial airliner and coming here that way or even flying yourself here. It really is very achievable, and hopefully I've shown you that it's worth doing. And if there's one thing I'd say to you if you're watching this, if you're putting something off, be it a trip to Airventure or a trip or some lifetime ambition, stop putting it off and get the job done. Otherwise it might be too late. As I say, really inspiring coming here. It reminds me to some extent, depressingly, of how behind we are in the UK, how regressive things are, and how aviation is seen as a bad thing, not a good thing. And I'd love to bring some of those people in the UK that are doing us down to the USA to come and see this, to see how it could be, and perhaps maybe we could send a bit of love back to the UK with them so that we can maybe make things better in the UK. I mean, for instance, I've just seen a notice come out from the FAA today, announced at the show here, that they're launching next month digital IFR clearances through your EFB. You know, I can see that taking 10, 20 years to even be a possibility in the UK. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm doing it down too much, but you know, it would be nice to see some improvements to UK aviation so that we could one day have a great show like this back home. On that somewhat reflective, perhaps even sad note, I'm going to wrap up and say thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss any step of my Atlantic adventure coming here in my 1977 PA28. The next episode comes out a week today and then it comes out fortnightly, so do subscribe to the channel. Have a great weekend, have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Fly safely, my friends. Bye for now.